Hello, everybody. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. We talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on today's show, or tonight, depending on when you're watching this, I'm pleased to have on a right-handed pitcher who goes to Westfield State, but also is a Bristol Blue, a two-time Bristol Blue. I saw him pitch in 2019. We'll get into that in a little bit, but he currently pitches for the NECBL Bristol Blues here in 2021. Shane Bogli, who is from Rockville, my third guest from Rockville. Shane, pleasure to be able to have you on, man.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm excited. Let's do it.
I could have talked to you for hours. We were talking off the recording for about almost a half hour. I
For
feel like
sure.
just talking baseball, that's what we do,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yep, exactly.
And it's just one of those things where once we start talking, I mean, it would have been great. And I would have loved when I was with the Blues in 2018, 2019, specifically when you were there, if I could have
Yep.
had guys come up to the booth during the game. And I almost feel like if I had you, I know I had Sealhorst and the championship game before the game started. And I just feel like if we were on the air, I wouldn't even talk about the game because I'd be just talking with you guys for
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. That'd been funny.
Yeah, it would have been great, especially Sealhorst. He was so funny.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I was there when he was there though.
Mhm. But
Yep.
I'm sure the guys mentioned though how he was funny.
He did. Yeah, no, for sure. I remember when I first arrived there, I
Mhm,
think he just left and they always talked about him. So I asked, like, who is this guy? They've
mhm.
always talked about how he's a character.
Yeah, big time character, but hey, I think he's still pitching, still doing well. So I'm happy to see him do well. I'm also happy
Me
to
too.
see you do well, man. And we'll get into
Appreciate
your
it.
time as far as the Blues this season a little bit. I kind of want to go into as far as the career in the beginning career of yours, because I feel like, especially a guy like yourself who doesn't throw particularly hard. Now, I know you are now, but coming up, obviously, you didn't have the velocity. So just kind of give me a synopsis of how baseball came to you.
Oof, yeah. So me, there's a particularly part like where like so I was at the Connecticut Capitals. Have you heard of that travel team?
Yes, I have.
So there was a guy, I forget his name. I wish I remembered his name, but I was I had I was a I had a pitching coach named Mike Heppel, and he worked there. He was with the Mets for a little bit. He's from Connecticut, and there's I was throwing a pen with him. He was catching me. He was my pitching coach, and he was watching me throw, and I was just like, I don't know. And after my pen, I was like, well, like he goes, "Don't worry about velocity.
Hmm.
Go with like pitch those strikes,
Hmm.
and your time will come when velocity will come." And at that point, I was like, "All right, well, I might as well just focus on my mechanics, throwing strikes, and doing what I do, and the velocity will come." And in high school, my coach really focused on me throwing strikes and spotting up in my movement. My movement was key. And like again, I was like, I think I topped like I think one time 84 in high school. And I was watching all these guys like who were the same age as me throwing like high 80s, low 90s, getting these D1 looks. And I
Hmm.
was just sitting there like kind of like underdogging it a little bit. Like I'm like, all right, so do I try to throw as hard as I can and be as least accurate as possible, or do I do this? And from that moment when the guy goes to velocity will come, I kept that in my head. I'm like, all right, I'll just focus on throwing strikes. And throughout my college career, the velocity did come a little bit here and there, but I kept throwing strikes. And when I was at post, I'll start off my freshman year, I did not throw strikes. I was a mess. I was not prepared for college. I did not lift in high school. I succeeded in high school just on throwing strikes. And when I got the post, there's guys throwing high 80s, low 90s, way above my level of baseball that I was at now. So I was like, oh God, I don't know if I'm ready for this. So, the season came, I got a couple of shots here and there, and I didn't do good. I really didn't do good. And there's a lot of side stuff, but and I want the major. I was at sports management. There's a bunch of negative stuff that post that I just didn't like. So I'm like, no, I need a fresh start. And I know some college guys that they listen to this could understand what I'm saying, but I needed a fresh start. And I went to Westfield. I knew a kid at Westfield, and I went there, and I'm glad I did. And I was able to get a fresh start, new major, new team. I was sports management. Now I'm physical education.
Mhm.
And after that, I kind of was able to focus on baseball in school, and I'm excelling now.
I think there's a lot to dissect with that. And I think it really kind of speaks to the journey because nobody has that same linear path.
Oh
Everybody
no,
goes, it's very unique. I mean, same for my side with broadcasting and where I started, where I am now. It's just totally never would have thought that. Um, for
for
you in
sure.
particular, man, I think I just want to, I'm going to try to break each part that you said, and there's a lot to go into. The
Oh, a
part
lot.
with
Yeah, trust me, there's a lot.
yeah, the part with you in the pitching side, I've really kind of caught my attention first because I think with the way baseball is going right now, with how pitchers are being basically brought up, where throw through a brick wall, throw as hard as you can, don't care where it goes, let's just throw it hard. I think
Yeah.
for and who's the coach that told you about focusing on control first? Who was that?
I don't know. I
Okay.
wish. So it was. So there's this guy named Mike Heppel who was all about control. He was a pitcher,
Okay.
like for the Mets. We when I worked with him, he was more control and movement.
Okay.
He threw 98 and he threw gas. He threw really hard, but he had no idea where it was going. And I know if he listens to this, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But
Mhm.
with him, he knew I wasn't going to be a power pitcher, and he knew that my where I would excel was my location and my movement.
Mhm.
So we tried to focus on that. So, and the other coach I said velocity will come. I wish I knew who it was because I wanted to credit him for that. But it was a guy that was just watching me pitch and just told me that. But and my high school coach too, Coach Karen from Rockville High School, he gave me an opportunity to play varsity as a sophomore, gave me a chance, and he knew that with my location at tryouts, he told me, he goes, listen, I don't care if you throw hard because there's other seniors that threw harder than me. My location was better than theirs. And he goes, listen, just keep doing what you're doing and you'll be fine. You'll be successful. And I've been successful ever since. So I, I would credit a bunch of guys, a bunch of coaches I've had where the like accuracy comes from and control. Because I think that's a big part of pitching, in my opinion.
Oh, you're right. I mean, and while I could see why it's so much fun to watch players who throw gas, at the same time, at least to
Sure.
me, maybe it's because I was a guy who, I mean, I barely cracked 74, 75, and I threw from, yeah,
Right.
exactly. It's funny, right? But and I was a D3 pitcher, so I could relate with
Right.
you as far as the Division two
Exactly.
level. But
Hmm.
I've always found it fun to watch guys who don't throw hard but know how to spot, know how to tunnel being able to throw what looks like the same pitch, but then have it dart the last couple feet before it goes to home while it's going towards home plate and have it dart a different way. Um, Watching guys like that, like when I think like Davies, who was with the Brewers and now
Yep.
the Padres. If you want to go back even further, Kyle Hendricks with the Cubs, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, when the plate was like from here to here for a strike.
Right.
I think guys like that are fun to watch because it makes the game, in my opinion, better because it's more of a chess match. How am I going to dissect this hitter to make him look really dumb? Get low exit velocity swings, which equal ground balls, weakly hit pop-ups. I think those are the kind of things that makes a pitcher unique. And I think for you to kind of stick to that, because you very well could have said, you know what, I want to go as hard as I can. You may have well been out of baseball by that point because you may have not had the success. And then it's like, you know what? I'm not succeeding. Let me go do whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, exactly. 100%. I agree with that.
And it's just, I think for you to stick to that is very, very good on your part, man. Now, I want to go into the part as far as when you were at Post. And I
Hmm.
know that you left and whatnot. And we don't have to go into why you did it, to dissect that. There's no need for
For
that.
sure.
But when
Yep.
you were looking at schools as far as past Post, why was Westfield? Because I played against Westfield in college. I know that they have a very good coaching staff. I know the players from I haven't talked to any players, but just reading the comments from players and in the papers and articles and such. They seem to have loved it. Why did you choose Westfield State as a school to go to?
Good question. So it was probably in like mid-April is when I was at Post, when I decided that the Post wasn't the best fit for me. So during the season, I was kind of looking at like projective schools where I could go. And I was looking at Eastern, looking at Castleton. I wanted to switch to phys ed. That was the main reason. It was more academic side because at that point in my baseball career, I didn't think I had a shot of like even playing for in indie ball, you know, independent baseball. Like my confidence wasn't as high, so I was looking more at the academic side. And Westfield State had a very good um, physical education program, and that's probably the main reason why I wanted to go there. And I knew also that their baseball team, secondly, was really really good in the MASCAC, and I wanted a chance to at least have a chance to go in the regionals and win a conference championship. So, and I wanted the decision to come pretty quick because I wanted to have a place where I wanted to go. I didn't want to wait last minute. So I'm like, you know what? I have a friend named Clayton Keene who I played with at Tallinn Legion, and I asked him, and the pitching coach I've played for previously
Mhm.
in a fall ball. He knew who I was, and he goes, "Yeah, like we'll be happy to have you." So I contacted the coach. He see me play, and he goes, "Yeah, come aboard." And that's how And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to Westfield and see how I can improve there. I like the coaching staff. I've heard nothing but great things. I like the physical education program. It's one of the best in the state. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go there and see what happens. And now I'm here. So I think it was a pretty good
Is
spot for
there
me.
is their baseball field still right next to, I think, what was it, the football field? Is that still, or do they have a new field now?
Yeah. So their baseball field, they have actually renovated a lot over the past years. They've added a nice section of bleachers. They
Ooh,
used to have this like regular like high school bleachers, nothing connected. But
yep.
now they have a new press box near the home dugout, and they have nice bleachers around home base. So they've added to it, which is nice.
Now, more importantly, how are the bullpens? Because I know for a starting pitcher, that's very important.
Yeah, yeah. The bullpens are nice. I like them. The catching side of it is all turf,
Ooh,
and so the mound's all dirt, and then the catching side's turf, and
mm,
they have a nice background where you can just focus on the catcher, so it's nice.
very cool. Yeah, when I was there, I think it was 2014 was the last time I was there. It was a little bit different. Like I mentioned, it was across the football field or right next to it. It was a little
Mhm.
bit, obviously the renovations weren't happening, but it's nice to hear that they've upgraded and they're kind of moving along. That's great to hear. Um, Now I kind of want to go into as far as the yourself, as far as the pitching side, the training.
Sure.
I know it's one thing we could talk about. All right, how much do you squat? Are you putting up this much to try to, get the core and the strength in the legs? But the way now, as far as baseball is going with drive line, weighted balls, the biomechanics, the whole Trevor Bauer thing, speaking 8,000 languages of technology, which I can't do.
Right.
But are you somebody that is big on the weighted balls and kind of all the uniqueness of the technologies that Rapsodo, all the was it the Megatronic cameras or whatever to
Yeah.
kind of see where your
Right.
placement is with the
I'm
baseball.
glad you a- I'm
Is
glad
that
you
something
asked that
you do?
because I'm actually not. I
Okay.
at Post they were big with driveline,
Okay.
and when I did that there, I actually threw slower. I hurt my arm. I
Really?
don't think yeah, so I wasn't I think strong enough. I feel like you have to be a certain like you have to be as how do I say this correctly? Like you have to be strong enough to use that stuff, in my opinion, because again, I didn't lift a weight in high school. I
Mm.
should have, but I didn't. And at Post, they have it there as an option. But me personally, after Post, I did not want to touch a weighted ball.
Mm.
So I actually have not used any weighted balls. We do use Rapsodo. It is helpful with like spin rate stuff and location where pitches are. And like if I there's my pitching coach has a lot of drills without using weighted balls because I don't like it, where I
Mm.
can get more spin rate from. But yeah, for me, to answer that question, I haven't actually been a fan of the weighted balls at all. And I've improved velocity without using them.
Now, how have you, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, and you and I were
Mhm.
talking about how you have improved your velocity over the last couple of years where where you were topping 84, maybe 70. I know you said to me you were 78 to 82, 83, then you went to 84, 85, and then most recently you said that you topped supposedly 89, 88, which is great to hear. And that goes to what you were told at a younger age, how your velocity is going to come. Just continue on throwing strikes and kind of staying within yourself. What have you been doing to, I guess, increase the velocity, but just try to get yourself becoming the pitcher you are now?
So my like so I went to a guy over the fall, over like the fall, this past fall.
Mhm.
Our fall got shut down for baseball because of Corona throughout the school. So I had to be on my own for a lot of the fall season. So I went to a guy. He's in Acton, Mass, named Kevin McGovern, and he I don't know if you know this man. Something DiNardo. I think it's Lenny DiNardo. He pitched for the Red Sox. He was a lefty.
Oh yeah, he kind of threw like semi sidearm. He had a weird delivery. He's been on some of the
Yeah,
podcasts for Nessa. I know who he is. Yeah,
yeah.
I think
Exactly. He broadcast for
he
Nesson.
I think he was in the trade either to Boston or to Texas. I know he pitched for Texas too. He was
Right.
in like a two
Yes.
three player deal. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So Kevin and Lenny, like they're pretty good friends. But I went to a guy named Kevin McGovern.
Hmm.
He focuses on so I had like a little arm issue with
Hmm.
my forearm and my elbow. It wasn't like TJ stuff, but it's just really sore. So my mom was actually friends with him, got together over the fall, and Lenny was there, and we kind of he was only there for one of the sessions I was at, but
Hmm.
it was more of a mechanical issue with me, where when I was with the Blues in 2019, I would open him up like really like soon,
Yeah.
and I would lose a lot of power, like a lot of power. And that's what he noticed. And same with Lenny, because he went over it with Lenny. And when I was there for the first time, I was doing like a demo video for him for his program that he was doing, and we worked on for 10 sessions about opening up a little bit later, so I'd have more drive, and that helped a lot. That helped the velo a lot, and I hit like 88 with him over the winter, which I was shocked because I'd never hit that number before in my life.
Hmm.
So, with that being said, with answer your question, it was more of a lifting weights, just physically getting stronger,
Hmm.
and just mechanics. I think pitching is legit all about mechanics. You see Frankie Mazzucato, my dude was touching like 84 like 4 years ago, and now he's touching 94, and my man's like a buck 80, not even.
Hmm.
So I think it's all about mechanics, and it's about how you use your body and how you translate that to power. And I think that's what I've learned over the past year with like all that stuff. So how I've become like to throw a little bit more harder was mechanics, my torque, whip, and um, lifting. Just becoming physically stronger as it is. No weighted balls, no nothing about that cowboy. Just getting stronger in mechanics. I think that's the biggest thing.
If I could add to that too, man, I agree with you. I think it's more so about the mechanical aspect, and I think that's the biggest thing because you almost think of pitching like a rubber band, where you're kind of
Right,
stretching, and then you let it go. I
right,
think of a pitcher like Chapman. I think Chapman is the prime example of a rubber band, where his delivery, when he corks, he kind of twists, gets it going, and then as he lands, and mind you, he's built like a Greek god. I mean, he's just ripped from the
yeah, I
waist up.
know.
But when
That's
he
true.
lands, it's like his arm is just there for the ride. And then the rubber band effect where it's just he fires. I know his command is off right now, but still the point is when you have proper mechanics, even if the velocity doesn't come, if you can repeat it and know what you're doing wrong, I think it allows you to A, stay healthy, but also two, if you want to improve on velocity, it does come over time as long as you do the proper things. And it seems like you were doing them. Maybe it was just for you. Maybe it was A, getting a little bit older, but also, like you said, you didn't even practice weightlifting in high school. So imagine if you did that.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Trust me, I wish I did now thinking about it. So if there's any high schoolers listening to this, then I would definitely start slowly when you start lifting low weights, but start that as soon as possible when you're in school.
Shane Bogli wants to make weightlifting great again in Connecticut baseball.
Yes, exactly.
Shane, I really do appreciate you coming on. I want to keep you for a little bit longer as far as now, I want to go to the 2019 Blues just for a moment. Now, you joined them
Sure.
late, and I know that there's
Hmm.
kind of, I could ask you about, your first start and how that was and if you were nervous, but I really kind of want to ask you, and what I care more about is the fact that in game 3 against North Shore in the playoffs,
Yep.
that game, I think, was the pinnacle of where you are now, because I think that kind of spoke to what you were able to do. You were a guy who didn't throw. I mean, typically in a game like that, you go with the best. You want to be able to have guys who you can count on, because obviously if you lose, you go home. And I
Yep.
think for Ronnie and for the Blues to trust you in that game 3, to know we can get X amount of outs out of him. And you pitched well, man. You kind of kept North Shore off balance and you did what you had to do. And mind you, that game was with rain and everything else. So kind of just take me into that game that you can, I'm sure you remember the whole thing, but just talk to
Oh
me about
yeah. So I'll give you the night before. The night before they had to win the game 2.
it. Yep.
First of all, that was a big thing. I didn't travel because I was scheduled to start game 3. And I was watching the whole game online and they won. So I'm like, all right, sweet. I got another start. That's awesome. And as the D3 kid, never playing in that caliber of baseball, I'm like, all right, it's a great opportunity. So, next day come, we're home. It was a home start. And, mentally, like when I'm 100%, I can relief no matter what. But when I'm starting, I'm locked in. And the whole day, I worked as well. I'm a camp counselor, so I work in the morning and I do baseball at night. Legit, the whole day I was locked in for the start. I was trying to keep my kids settled down, but after I left, I was just like, this start. And I got to the field. Did my regular routine. I locked in, and as we're doing the national anthem that day at Muzzy, I look up. Me, Loda, who was catching me, and I forget who's at first base, but we look up and there's a storm clouds. I'm like, oh,
Dylan
this is
Reynolds.
not going to. Yes, Dylan. Yep, Dylan Reynolds.
Can't
Exactly.
forget Dylan Reynolds, the most consistent pitcher, and I think him and Austin White. I think the both of
Dylan
them
Reynolds.
walked more than
Hmm.
they struck out combined. I'm almost guaranteed that, because Austin White never struck out. If he
Yeah.
struck out, then that umpire was wrong.
Exactly. Dylan Reynolds. Yes. I don't know why I forgot him. It's been a while since I talked to him, but so we saw the storm clouds were coming. So I'm like, all right, maybe they'll miss. So I pitched the first inning. I think I led like a run, probably off of bad hits. It's my career story. But then the second inning comes and it rains out. It's raining, pouring, tarp on, hour and a half delay. I think about 50 minutes into hour and a half delay, Ronnie comes out to me and goes, you still want to go back out there? Me, if I've been starting the whole entire year, I probably would have said no just to keep my arm healthy. But me being a D3 guy, opportunities don't come like this often, where
Mhm.
I get to pitch in the Futures League. I was brought in halfway. I'm like, you know what? No, send me back out there. I'm like, let's go. And so I was warming up in the rain, still throwing in the rain. And third inning comes, did all right. Arm wasn't 100% because, I had an hour and a half rain delay. But I think that game showed that, like, they had no, like, I think I pitched 2 games before that game, but they knew off the bat that I would throw strikes and that I would give them a chance to win. And thank goodness we won, because I think I pitched like 3 innings that game, I think, because my arm was so tired after the hour and a half rain delay. And we ended up winning that game. But I think me showing that I could throw strikes with only like 2 starts and kind of pushing some of the guys they had the whole entire season, I kind of jumped them after 2 starts, shows that throwing strikes means a lot to a coaching staff.
Yeah, no, it does. And it goes back to, if you can show the consistency and being able to throw strikes, but also have the wherewithal to not get away from that. I mean, it showed in that game, and then it's even showed to this point now. I know you've had a pretty good season with the Blues thus far. And most recently, man, I know you and I were talking before that you were going to pitch against Team Israel. And I knew that you were going to face, I think it was Kinsler, was it Lavarnway? And
Um,
who was the other one?
so Lavarno wasn't there because he's with the Indians right now, and the Indians won't release him until they actually
Okay.
travel to Tokyo.
Okay.
So it was the three like major league guys. It was Kinsler, and
Mhm.
there's actually the three top of their order. It was Kinsler, Ty Kelly, who played with the
Yes.
Mets,
Yes.
and Danny Valencia, who had a long
Okay.
season in the MLB.
And Valencia played for, I think, a bunch of teams. I remember, I think it was Oakland, the Twins, and I'm sure
Baltimore. He
Baltimore. Oh
played
yeah,
with Baltimore
Baltimore.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did my research before the game.
That's smart that you did. I'm sure you kind of looked at see, okay, where are their cold spots? Where can they hit? But
Yeah,
the reason why I bring that up is I think,
sure.
and I was mentioning to you about how who knows? I mean, we saw with Frank Mazzucato as far as what he was able to do, and being able to impress and, the velocity and, he did so much to be able to get to where he was as the number 7 overall pick in the MLB draft by the Royals. But I brought up to you the fact that who knows who was watching that game either online or at the game to see how do these guys go after not even so much the results, but how are they attacking former major league guys? Are they trying to hump it and say, I'm facing major league dudes, I need to throw as hard as I can? Are they getting out of their mechanics? Are they staying within themselves? Are they cutting them up a little bit? And I think, and I made sure I watched the at bats that they had against you. And I got to admit, man, very impressive how you were able to kind of stay with. Because I'm telling you, I couldn't do it. I could name a bunch of other guys who I played with and watched who wouldn't be able to do what you did against former major league guys. So just take me into those at bats and kind of what was your mindset and how did you keep your cool going up against them?
Yeah, so going against a four-time also Ian Kinsler, Ty Kelly, Valencia. I've never been in a position where I have to go one batter at a time. That wasn't ever like in my college charts. I've never actually focused on that. But this start, I was like, all right, we got to take this one batter at a time because I know all these guys were professionals that I'm playing. So with Kinsler, he led off. I I kind of try to think like a major leaguer and think that he's facing me. I don't throw that hard. I'm gonna try to keep him off balance. So I did not give Kinsler a single off speed pitch. I threw him all fastballs in both at bats, and I was able to get him out with my fastball tails a little bit, and I was able to get him out. Ty Kelly, he was a lefty, and usually in my starts at Westfield, I threw changeups to lefties, so I was able to jam him inside for a strike. I think I threw a front door slider for a strike, threw a couple balls, see if I can get him to chase. Then I threw him a changeup outside that tailed a lot, and he was able to, made him look a little silly and struck him out. Then Danny Valencia came off the bat, and I got him to a full count. And my catcher put down a fastball, and I shook it off. And he put down a curveball, shook it off. I shook off a bunch of times till he put down the curveball again. Then I threw it because in my head I was like, all right, this guy's definitely thinking I'm a rookie pitcher. I'm gonna throw him a 3-2 fastball, and he thinks he's gonna smack this out of the park. Well, I'm like, nah, you're getting a 3-2 off speed pitch right now. And I was able to stun him because he was not ready for a 3-2 off speed pitch. I'll tell you that right now. And I
Mhm.
bet you if he was on here, he'd tell me the same thing. I threw him a backdoor, like inside slider that he didn't even swing at, and the umpire punched him out. And I feel like he was shook because he argued with the umpire about it. It might have been a ball. I don't know. I think it might have been a ball, but I still think that he was not expecting a slider, and I threw him a slider and he struck him out. So I guess he was just thinking. I was trying to think what they were thinking. Being, if I was a pro guy facing a kid like me, what I would think I would throw, and I did the opposite, and it worked out. So
And that was Ty Kelly, correct? You said?
Ty Kelly was a changeup. Dan Valencia
Okay.
was the backdoor slider who I struck
Okay.
out.
And, to go up against those guys and be able to kind of, like you said, to dissect them and not, try to dead brain heave it, I think is very impressive, man. And it's too bad you didn't have an opportunity to be able to talk with them after, because I'm sure
I
it would
wish
have been a pretty fun conversation.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. I really want to know what they thought about me pitching to them and how like either what I could do better.
Mhm.
I got them all out, but what everyone could be better at some things. So just seeing what they saw, and if they've seen a lot of major league pitchers in their career. Don't get me wrong. So if
Mhm.
they could like give me info about like what I did good, what I did bad, should I change up my looks? Did I do something with my glove to tip a pitch? Just anything would have been helpful. But they're I just honestly just said hi to my family and then walked off the field. So I didn't really go up to them and ask for
I
any
mean,
information.
the wonders of social media, man. If you want to be able to find out, I'm sure if you tweet at them, maybe because I'm sure I mean, major league hitters remember so many things, especially them being around the game so long. I wonder if you tweet at them and maybe they'll get back to you.
Maybe I'll try that. I might try that. We'll see. I did DM Ian Kinsler. I won't shame that. I did DM him about that, but we'll see if he responds. He hasn't responded yet, so we'll see.
Hey, who knows? Maybe down the road he will. You never know.
Never know. Yeah, you never know who's running his account. He's a professional, so we'll see.
Yeah, right. But hey, Shane, I really do appreciate you coming on. Real quick, as far as the time remaining with the Blues, you have about 14 games or so, and I
Mhm.
know that the season has not been great. You guys are getting hot at the right time. You guys have won, I think, 4 of your last 5 or something like that, which is good. Just like how 2019 was. I know there was more games, but still, got to get hot at the right time. And who knows, especially in the NECBL, everybody makes the playoffs. So,
Mhm.
what are kind of what are your goals for probably a dumb question, but I'm just curious because now you have an opportunity to be able to play not one, but 2 extra years potentially at Westfield. So, kind of what are you looking towards for the remainder of this summer as you go into your next year with Westfield?
So, um, I made a I made a deal with my coach that if I threw shut like an X amount of shutouts with Team Israel, because that was my first start of the season. Because I'm a starter, I wanted to be a starter for the Blues,
Mhm.
but they wanted to give the D1 guys the opportunity to start. So I'm like, you know what, that's fine. I'll take the innings where I can get them, and I threw X amount of shutout innings, so they're able to give me a start on Monday, this upcoming Monday, against Newport. So my goals is to hopefully show them that I can become a starter and start along the way, the rest of the way. But if not, just being a good teammate, doing my job when I'm on the mound, whether it's relieving or starting, giving the Blues the best chance to win as possible, and hoping to have a nice run at the end of the season so we can get a good seed in the playoffs. But to answer your question, is just being a good teammate. First of all, it's my pride on, and just doing my job when I'm on the mound, whether it's bases loaded, 2 outs, getting the last out, bases loaded, 1 out, getting a double play,
Mhm.
or starting and giving them X amount of innings where we have a chance to win.
Shane, it's a pleasure to be able to have you on and to have a former blue or a former blue for me because I'm not there anymore. But for you to be a two-time blue, I had
For
Austin
sure.
White on, I had
Yep.
JT Bounce on, I had Co on, I've had a bunch of blues on. It's great to be able to have them come on. But it's great to be able to see you continuing your success from 2019. And then hopefully what you're able to do this year will now carry over as far as for your upcoming season with Westfield. And then I mean, who knows? As far as what happens with the draft, I mean, your velocity could continue on going up. And I mean, I've seen guys in football, basketball, I don't think I've seen it too much that I can remember. Baseball, I've seen it too, where Division 3 guys, it doesn't matter where, and this I think is where I think you would agree with me here as far as trying to get it to kids as young as 10, 11. You don't have to play Division 1 to have an opportunity to be able to play in the pros. If you are good enough, they will find you. And I think you are doing it to a T as far as doing it the proper way, working your butt off and just staying who you are and then letting your God given talents just letting it eat, letting it ride.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I hope the young kids, if they see this, like, listen, you don't need to throw hard to be successful, but keep grinding, keep working hard, and success will find you. So I'm excited for next year. And if I can increase my velocity and a team likes me, then they pick me, I'll be happy. But I'm going to continue to grind no matter what. And whatever team gets me, I'll throw strikes. So thank you
Shane,
for having me on.
no problem, buddy. Stay in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Now, wrap things up in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. From CT stands for Connecticut Talent. And I'm on a journey to find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.